everybody, and welcome back for part 4 of Reading Blended by Sharon M. Draper. This is the last reading I will do until next Tuesday. We left off on chapter 20, Mom's Week. Mr. Kazilli starts history class with a question. How many of you have been watching on TV or reading about the school protests happening around the country? Only a few kids raise their hands. I suppose we should spend some time one day figuring out the best phone apps for news and information for you all, the teacher says with a sigh. But for now, let's talk about how what's going on in other kids' lives can affect us all. What do you mean? Logan asks. Let me explain, Mr. K continues. Do any of you know why young people are protesting? Gretchen answers first. Yeah, there have been a bunch of school shootings in the past years. Students are saying enough of that and trying to figure out what they can do so it doesn't happen again. Maybe walking out of school can help change gun laws and stuff. It's going to be crazy scary to have something like that happen at your school, John Tay adds, scrunching his face like he's thinking real hard. Lots of us nod in agreement. Do students have a right to walk out of school? Mr. Kazilli asks. Why not? They walk in, John Tay says, breaking the tension a little. Do they have a right to protest? Mr. Kazilli presses. Absolutely, Imani says, her face serious. Real people died in those school shootings, kids our age. We have a right to be safe. Very good, Imani, Mr. K tells her. Then he asks, what kind of things in the past have led to demonstrations that have led to change? Voting rights, for women, I offer. Racial discrimination, violence. All of this is heavy stuff, Mr. Kazilli says. In the fight for civil rights, for instance, there were sometimes violence, terrible violence, but it eventually led to good as the minds and hearts of people were changed. Not enough, John Tay mutters. Mr. Kazilli then surprises me when he says, Perhaps you're right, John Tay. I don't get what this has to do with us, though, Cecile says. Good point. Brings me around to what I planned for today. What I want to focus on are the many good books and stories that were written so that no one ever forgets all that happened. Writers rock. Huh? A couple of us say. And then we are going to write. This will be our 6th grade start to making the world a better place, Mr. Kazilli finishes. I think most of the kids in class either groan or sigh or roll their eyes, me included. I raise my hand. What are we supposed to write about? First, you read and research, more groans. Then, you write, sighs. And that is my cat Frank in the background. Mr. Kazilli's taught 6th grade for a long time. He totally ignores our groans and pushes on. Sometimes it takes a really bad thing to bring about positive changes. Like what? John Tay asks. Spent a lot of time reading your history homework last night, did you? Mr. Kazilli says, raising an eyebrow. The Celtics were in the playoffs, man. That was history in the making, John Tay calls out. Lots of kids nod in agreement. Nice try, Mr. Kazilli says with a laugh. Catch up tonight, okay? Chapter 27 in your American history book talks about how churches were bombed, houses were burned, people were lynched. History made. His face is dead serious now. What's lynched? I asked. I've heard the word before, but I'm not sure exactly what it means. Good question, Isabella. It's when people decide to be judge, jury, and executioner without following any laws. People were hanged or shot or imprisoned without ever getting a proper hearing. But, I hardly know what to say. That's really awful, I finally exclaim. Imani raises her hand. Hanged? Like a noose around their neck? Mr. Kazilli takes his time. The classroom goes quiet. Yes, it was a terrible, terrible thing. They show that in cowboy movies all the time, Logan blurts out. No big deal. I guess it would be a big deal if it was happening to you, Imani replies, her voice hard. Logan puts his hands around his neck and fakes like he's choking. That is not funny, Logan, Mr. Kazilli says, his voice rising. Stop that. Heather looks squarely at him, shakes her head, and frowns. I'm not sure he notices. He's so busy acting up. Just doing a little show and tell, Logan does it again and pretends to gasp. I said stop. Mr. Kazilli actually yells. Okay, my bad. Logan puts both hands in the air and tries to laugh it off. Heather puts her head on her desk. Imani, however, is standing up. Mr. Kazilli finally notices her. Imani? I've never seen Imani look so angry. Her fists are clenched. Her face looks, how can I explain, old, like a grown-up's. Like somebody who's lived 1,000 years. It's kind of chilling and impressive. I've never actually seen Imani really pissed off before. She's staring Logan down like he's some kind of stranger, not the kid we've both known since 1st grade. You, Logan, are an idiot. Everyone kind of sucks in their breath. She narrows her eyes as Logan's go wide. Real people were once executed by hanging, with a rope and a noose. People like me. That is not funny. I'll say it again. You are an idiot. And then she sits back down. The room gets scary silent. Everybody stares at Logan, who's slumping as far down in his seat as he can without actually getting under it. Sorry, he mutters, but he doesn't look sorry. Mr. Kazilli looks from Amani to Logan and tells Logan he will see him after school for a whole hour of detention. Logan starts to protest, but a stern look from Mr. K shuts him down. Chapter 21, Dad's Week. I like gym class most of the time. Grown-ups don't get how hard it is to be quiet all day, so screaming and hollering and bouncing balls is always fun. The only bad part is lots of us smell pretty funky afterward. The showers have been broken for as long as I've been at the school. Every year, at the first day assembly, the principal promises that funding will be available soon, but so far it hasn't happened. The good thing is I have gym last period on Thursday, so I get to go home. Well, whatever home I'm scheduled for, and shower. I gotta get the dirt of the day washed away. After 40 minutes of volleyball, we hurry back to the locker room to change and get our backpacks and stuff. Heather is sweaty and out of breath, all hyper, because it's her final serve won the game for our side. Imani had been on the other side of the net. I could have hit that, she fronts. But you didn't, girlfriend, Heather hoots. Our side won. I get my backpack out of my locker and toss it onto my shoulders. Heather does the smile. Imani is getting annoyed at her lock, which seems jammed. She gives it one hard tug and it finally opens. But then she stumbles backward, hand to her mouth, and lets out a scream. I've seen a few scary movies, but I have never heard a real human let loose a real, honest-to-goodness scream. We rush over. By the time she is kind of choke-sobbing and pointing. Inside her locker, dangling from the coat hook, is a thick rope, the kind we use in gym. It's knotted and tied round and round at the top. The bottom of it is looped. No. It can't be. No, but it is. It's a noose. A real rope noose. Having heard Imani scream, other girls are surrounding us, looking shocked, everyone talking at once. What is that? Where did it come from? How can anyone do that? Cell phones are out. Photos are snapped and shared, for sure. Teachers arrive. Imani, who at this point is sobbing, is led away. They won't let me or Heather go with her. Chaos takes over. The police are called. Nobody is allowed to leave. This is crazy. I didn't do anything wrong, but I'm so scared. One by one, every single student in our gym class is called into a little room. I walk in and face the principal, the gym teacher, and a counselor. What are they going to do? I want my mom. This is what they ask me. What is your name? Isabella Thornton. How old are you? 11. What grade are you in? 6th. What race do you put on your official school forms? What? I'm not sure. Do you consider yourself black? I guess. Do you consider yourself white? I don't know. I never really thought about it. Do you have friends of other races than your own? Yes. Do you know any teachers who show racial bias? No. Do you know any teachers who act negatively toward Imani? No. Do you know any students who act negatively toward Imani? No. Have you ever acted negatively toward Imani? Huh? No, of course not. She's one of my best friends. How long have you attended this school? Since 5th grade. What clubs are you in? None, really. What websites do you follow? I don't know, the usual ones, just to do homework. Do you use Instagram? Not very much. Have you ever been to a meeting about race relations? What? No. Have you ever been to a Black Pride meeting at your school? No, I've never heard of anything like that. Have you ever been to a White Pride meeting at your school? No, I've never heard of anything like that either. What time did you get to the gym today? Just before class, about 2, I guess. What did you do when you first got to the locker room? You mean before class? I put my backpack in my locker. What did you touch in the locker room? I don't know. A bench, maybe? The door? My locker? A wall? I don't know. Did you leave during the gym class? No. Are you sure? Yes. Did you get back to the locker room before Imani? I think we all got here about the same time. Were you ever alone in the locker room? No. Where is your gym locker? Number 542. Do you know Imani? Yes. Are you friends with Imani? Yes. Do you know Imani's locker combination? No. Do you know anyone who dislikes Imani? No, she's nice. People like her. Do you dislike Imani? Huh? No, I already told you. She's one of my best friends. Has Imani ever made you angry? One time she ate my cookie at lunch, so I ate her chips. So there's been tension between the two of you. No, we're friends. We eat each other's food all the time. Have you ever had an argument with Imani? No, never. Have you ever seen Imani do anything suspicious? No, of course not. Do you know if Imani is associated with any racial pride groups? Huh? I don't even know what that is. By the time they're finished, I feel like throwing up. I don't see Imani anywhere. I found out later that her parents showed up really quickly. They were taken to another area. They tell us our parents have been contacted, and school will be canceled tomorrow. They finally let us go home. Chapter 22, Dad's Week. No school today. News reports, police reports, gossip, phone calls, emails, Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, opinions, anger, confusion, fear. Chapter 23, Dad's Week. I was pretty much numb after being questioned. It was like something on TV. No smiles, just crisp questions. But I can't even imagine what Imani had to go through. Somebody who lives in her neighborhood texted somebody else that police cars were right in front of her house. Dad and Anastasia really wanted to talk to me last night, but I just couldn't. They were cool and let me just chill in bed for the evening. Even Darren knocked on my door asking if I was okay, but he understood and left me alone. I fell asleep before dinner. Now I'm up way early, even earlier than I would be for school. I've been awake just thinking about stuff, writing in my journal and checking on my phone. I'm usually psyched when we have a day off, especially when it falls on a Friday, but this feels so very wrong. I try to call and text Imani, but I guess her phone's off. I wonder what Heather is doing, if she's okay, if she's as scared and confused as I am. I try to call her, but her phone goes right to voicemail too. Mom has called and texted me like 1,000,000 times. She's worried. I keep telling her I'm fine, but my stomach feels gurgly, and I woke up like 1,000,000,000 times last night. Snapchat and Instagram are blowing up. Only a few of us were in the locker room, so it's nuts how many people who weren't even there have so much to say. Why a noose? Why at school? Maybe it's a sign. Of what? Bad things to come. That makes no sense. Folks are a little worried. My uncle calls it stirring the pot. Your uncle doesn't even live here. But why Imani? I'm scared. Of what? Of what might happen. I ain't scared of nothing. We should protest. Protest what? I'm ready to fight. That's dumb. Who are you going to beat up? We ought to boycott the hardware store. How do you know that's where it came from? You need to go back to first grade. Let's plan a walkout. Why? To get out of classes. That's stupid. You're already out, dummy. But it would be fun. Walkouts are serious things. Don't play. It's too cold to be walking out. Let's wait till next month. I hear a gentle knock at my door. You up? Can we come in, Isabella? Dad asks, opening the door an inch, peeking. I sit up. Sure, Daddy, come in. Anastasia's with him. She's wearing a silky-looking lavender top that's made like a sweatshirt. Dad's in a plain white t-shirt and pajama pants. He smells of fresh coffee as he leans over and kisses the top of my head. We just want to make sure you're okay, he says. Yeah, I'm okay, I guess. Maybe. I reach up to smooth my puffy hair. Anastasia pauses, then says, carefully, this whole problem at your school is very upsetting. Her forehead is wrinkled up. Do you want to talk about it? Dad asks. I look back and forth between them. I could say, I'm fine, and maybe they'd go away. But am I fine? No. I'm kind of freaked, so I go honest. I guess I am a little scared. They side-eye each other and wait for me to continue. Because a noose means, well, a noose is what they used to hang people, lynch people, black people. There, I said it. Dad sits on the edge of my bed as Anastasia says, you're right, it's become a horrible symbol of hatred. But why Imani? Just saying it out loud makes me angry. Well, Dad says, it seems that her parents are very active in a racial justice group here in town. They drive people from underserved neighborhoods to the polls so they can vote. They march in all the women's rights and voters' rights and equal rights demonstrations. They're the kind of people we all should be, not scared to speak out and do stuff to help folks. So, somebody threatened Imani because her parents do good things? That's a possibility, he says, running his hand along my headboard. Are you and Anastasia active in that kind of stuff? I asked nervously. Dad does the finger-tapping thing he does when he gets uptight. We donate quite a bit of money to those causes, he stops. Anastasia finishes for him. But honey, the truth of the matter is we don't really do anything that folks can see. Our contributions are behind the scenes. Is it selfish I feel totally relieved by this answer? I honestly don't care if they give $1,000,000 to equal rights causes so the world can be better in the future. Right now I'm worried about today, 6th grade. The only future I'm worried about is this coming Monday. What if it happens again? What if next time someone hurts Imani, like physically, or someone else? Who looks like her? Who looks like... I reach out and touch my father's hand. I look at my pale fingers next to his. Daddy? What, sweetie? Do you think people think I'm black or white when they see me? Am I black or white? His lips turn up into the slightest of smiles. I can't tell if it's a sad one, though. He looks at me with his bright brown, almost black eyes with thick lashes just like mine. Yes, is his reply. Yes. Chapter 24, Mom's Week. Mom, of course, is still crazy concerned about the problems at school. She and Dad even had a brief conversation about it yesterday at the handoff, and there wasn't a hint of snarling. She tiptoes into my room even before the alarm goes off on Monday morning. It's still dark outside. She lifts up Grandma's quilt and snuggles in next to me. Nothing is better than curling up with your mom first thing in the morning. You okay? She whispers. Yeah, I am now. I snuggle closer. You can stay home if you don't feel safe, you know. I pause. I know she'd let me if I ask. But I'm betting some kids will not show up today. But I actually want to go to school. I know, that's just messed up, but I need to be with my friends. Imani still hasn't responded to any of my texts or emails. So I'm really hoping maybe she'll be there so I can see how she's doing. No, I want to go, I tell Mom, empathically. I'm not going to let one crazy person mess everything up. That's my brave Izzy, she says. I'm not brave, I'm nosy, I tell her. The school must have figured out who did it by now, and I need to talk to my friends. I'll see if I can rustle up a gourmet breakfast for us, she says, leaving her warm spot by my side. Can you pop open a pack of cinnamon rolls? You got it, she hollers as she heads to the kitchen. And don't be dawdling in that shower like it's your own personal day spa, Izzy. You still have to make your bed and tidy up. What a mess in here. And you gotta get to school on time. I make a face but say, okay, Mom. In the kitchen, Mom, fabulous Mom, has made the cinnamon rolls. Her t-shirt this morning says, I like how when you read this, the little voice in your head takes pauses. Ha. Even though John Mark rarely drinks the stuff, he takes the time to brew coffee for Mom every morning. It's sitting on the table in her favorite mug, with 3 almond-flavored creamer packets beside it. John Mark is really nice to Mom that way. Between that and the cinnamon rolls, the kitchen smells extra good. It makes me feel like maybe the day will be okay. Sweet rolls, gobbled, milk gulped, jacket zipped, and it's time to go. Mom gives me a hug, and I lug my Casio, my backpack, and my piano music out to John Mark's truck, when he's already got it running, warming up. I sling my stuff onto the back seat, being careful with my keyboard. John Mark will bring it when he picks me up from school, so I can practice at Waffle House until Mom gets off work. We are almost to school when he pulls the truck into a parking space about a block away. What's up? I ask. Finally, he says, the thing that happened at school with your friend Imani makes me sick to my stomach. Then he pauses. And, well, I feel like I need to tell you a couple of things about me. I look at him kind of sideways. Huh? I'm wondering where he's going with this. He rubs his hand across his face. Then he says, his voice low and quiet, I know the kind of people who do horrible stuff like hang nooses. Say what? I wait one click, then ask him carefully. You do? Yeah. I grew up with them. My mom and dad. They were flat-out racists. I spent a lot of time hiding behind the sofa and being scared. It's hard for me to imagine John Mark as a little boy. He's so big and tough-looking now. What were you hiding from? I asked. My dad loved him some liquor, and he'd have his friends over every Saturday for whiskey and whatever. After they'd had 2 or 3 drinks or more, they'd really relax and start talking smack. They'd say really nasty things about Jewish people and black people and folks from other countries who lived here. Basically, anybody who wasn't white. John Mark grips the steering wheel like he wants to snap it in half. What did you do? I ask. Nothing, he admits, sounding sheepish. Nothing at all. At least, not to my dad. He'd beat the crap out of me. I was just plain scared of him. I sort of understood. My father, he never changed, John Mark continues, but I swore I wouldn't grow up to be like him. I ended up having friends of every color at school, and I knew that none of that stuff my dad said was true. I look away. I'm kind of glad I never met him. John Mark's nodding. Then he turns to me and says, his voice suddenly loud for the inside cab of a truck, I am not like my father, Isabella. You need to know that. I look over at him. Tears have actually welled up in his eyes. My mom found herself a really good guy. I think for the second time that day, and now it's me who's almost teary. We sit in the truck in silence for a long time. Then he shifts into drive and we roll into the school parking lot. There are a lot more cars in the drop-off line than usual. It looks like kids who usually take the bus seem to be getting rides from their parents today. Then I count 2, 5, no, 6 police cars. Some have lights flashing. Some just sit there, in the way of the buses and cars. I lean forward. What's going on? Kids are standing around, huddled in groups. Everything looks okay, but it just feels wrong. There are police everywhere. I'm starting to freak. What if more bad stuff happens? I've got a clencher grip on the door handle. John Mark reaches over and squeezes my hand. You've got this, Izzy, and I've got you hear? I blink and breathe. I squeeze back. Yeah, I say, letting my breath out in a whoosh. I'm good. Thanks, John Mark, and I mean it. Cars are inching to the drop-off point. John Mark stops the truck in front of a large group of black students. They look like 8th graders. You sure? John Mark asks. Yeah, I'm okay, I tell him. But I'm not okay. I totally have the jitters. He seems to know this, so John Mark, the ruddy-faced, black leather jacket-wearing, muscle-bound, tattooed white guy, gets out, walks around the front of the truck, and opens the passenger door. He bows and offers me his hand. I take it and hop out of the cab. Then, with the truck still running, he walks with me right up to the front door of the school. I'm too nervous to look to the right or left. John Mark then winks, bows to me once more, heads back to the truck, the heels of his boots thunking with every step. He climbs back into the cab and purposely, I'm sure, revs the engine just once. Then, as the bell rings for us to go inside, someone touches my shoulder. It's Clint Hammonds, the white boy with the gorgeous green eyes. What makes me reach up and smooth my hair? Nice truck, he says. Then he disappears into a crowd of kids. Alright, so we are just over 20 minutes, so we will stop there with everything at the 10th point that it is. And you will hear from me again on Tuesday. Thank you, as always, for watching and listening along. And you will hear what happens next Tuesday. Have a great weekend.